Hey everyone, welcome to the IWCA show. This is Gabriel Gutierrez. I'm your host, and I have Kevin Hargis and Luis Martinez with me. How you guys doing today?
Awesome.
Doing amazing. How you doing, Gabe?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you guys for joining me. I was really hoping to have you guys available to talk about this subject because I think all of us have benefited from it. It's something that new members really need to take advantage of when they first come in, and that is the benefit of networking in the IWCA. Obviously, we have a lot of events that happen throughout the year. There's things that we can do and interact with each other, but if you're not taking the advantage of the people who are members and talking with them and getting advice from them, you're really missing out. So I just wanted you guys to express some of the ways in which networking has helped you, or you've seen it help others in their business.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't know that there's any greater benefit to going to the IWCA convention. Not that the training and the classes and the trade show and all that is not good. It is. It's great. But getting to know people and something I had brought up in another podcast, knowing who to go to. We may not have the answers, but you go to the convention, for instance, and you sit in a class, and sometimes the person sitting next to you is the person that becomes your mentor or your buddy. And that's the one that you call on when you have a problem. That happened to me. There was a power washing guy. We happened to talk. This is before I had gotten into power washing. And I gave him a lot of information on window cleaning. So he said, you know what? And I had asked him, I said, I'm thinking about getting into this pretty large project. He's like, call me. I will tell you exactly what to do. I did. And he did. And then it was a year later, he called me. Hey, I have this big window cleaning project that I bid on, and I have nothing. What do I do? So I did the same thing. Do this, buy that. And so that's where the networking comes in. That's when you can start making these connections that you don't have to guess. You know who to call. You can put all these names and all these ideas into a bank, and when you need them, they're right there to grab.
Yeah. I to parallel with that, I could use both of you as an example for networking. Kevin, after I joined the IWCA, we got to talking a lot. As I messaged him on Messenger, turns out I had already talked to him 2 years previously. I didn't even know that was him. Yep. The last conversation I had with him 2 years previously, he's just the kind of nice guy that he is. And those are the people you're going to meet at the IWCA. He saved me from getting into a humongous contract with the builder.
I remember that.
Become their employee under their schedule. I'd have to go whenever they wanted. Me naive thinking, oh, here's, this multi, $1 million deal would have just screwed me over. And Gabe was really kind enough to let me go visit him in Arizona and Tucson and work with him for a couple of days. Literally, I came back, my ticket prices on the day that I came back grew 30%, which was, to me, I was working on another level. It was the first time I started making more than $1,000 a day on a consistent basis. Thanks to Gabe, when I went to work with him, we did a job for like 3 hours. That was like a $1,200 job on some mansion. And I couldn't believe people were making that kind of money. Just today, actually, it was really cool. I went to go bid on a restaurant, and right across from that restaurant is this other really popular restaurant. And this gentleman, he was wearing Maui soft washing. I got his rig from AC, one of the nicest guys I've ever met. And he goes, oh yeah, I've gone to Florida and everything, but he's trying to get a little more involved into window cleaning. And I was like, well, hey, I serve on the board of directors for the IWCA. Would it be okay with you if I emailed you some information? And I started talking to him. Before I knew it, 30 minutes had gone by. I was completely messing up his work schedule. But, I have that in me. A lot of people have helped me out in the IWCA.
Yeah.
I got to give back. So, I kind of very briefly talked a little bit about window cleaning, but I said, hey, you got to check out this convention. He's like, wait, it's in Vegas. I could just drive there. I don't have to fly across the country. I was like, no, dude, you just trust me. You got to check it out for this reason and this reason and this reason. And, that's that networking that we're talking about. And it's so fundamental to our growth. it's you know, using you guys as an example, all the way up to, you know, Fernando and George being groomsmen in my wedding. That's how powerful the networking is here, you know, and how a lot of these really nice people I've got to meet along the way that I consider my mentors. I hang out with people that I believe are smarter than me. That's my friends. And thanks to the IWC, I was able to meet both Fernando
Yeah.
and George Aguilar as well too.
Well, thinking from me, who coming from, I've been doing Windows for 22 years, but the first, 13, 14 years of my business, it was just me. And so I'm cleaning, I'm kind of isolated in my own little world. Once in a while, a friend in town would come and work with me who are window cleaners, and they would show me a pointer here or there. And man, when that would happen, I'd be so excited because I learned something that was helping me to be a better window cleaner or to make a better, dollar per hour rate. And then, but the other people I knew were my competitors, and of course they're going to be protective. So they're friendly, but not super friendly. They're not going to tell me anything that's going to help me be a better window cleaner, which I don't blame them. It wasn't anything that I held against them. I knew that's just business. But then you go to the IWCA and you meet all of these window cleaners, some of them who've been doing it for 30 years, but they're all wanting to help you. And I think that's the big difference in the networking, is that no one's trying to guard their secrets. No one's trying to keep you from getting ahead of them. Everyone's just there to help each other be successful. And I think, Kevin, you had said, like whatever your version of success is, that's what they're trying to help you to be. So some of us, we just want to stay small, but we just want to be able to make enough so that we provide for our family. And, we have the time that we need to do the stuff we want to do, that we're not working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. And sometimes it's just, you got to be a smarter businessman to get there. It's like, it's within reach. You just can't see it because you haven't been taught. I've always said, I didn't know what I didn't know. And it wasn't until I started going to conventions that I started seeing how dumb I was with where my profits were going, how I was managing my accounts, my business, how I had it structured. I was being taxed way more than I should have been taxed. I was paying so many I was paying money to the government that should have been in my pocket. And it's just because I didn't know, no one's going to grab my hand and tell me not to do it. But when you get to the IWC, you take the classes, you talk to the people who know what they're doing. Now they're the ones who are giving you the advice because they want to help you and steer you in the right direction. And I mean, my business has benefited so much just by having that network of people like you mentioned, Kevin. I may not know it, but I know people who will be.
I know the person that does. Yeah, I know that. And there's been many times that I've done that with a customer. They've asked a question, said, I think I know, but I know somebody that has done this for a long time and been very successful. Let me collaborate with them and let me get back to you. Because sometimes we get stuck in this habit of a customer says, can you? And you're like, yes. Or you want to give them an instant answer to seem like the smart guy.
Yes.
But going to someone that is smarter than you and getting that help. I remember when I saw Jack Welch speak, this is probably 15 years ago. One of the questions that somebody had asked him is how he became the most successful CEO of GE. And he said, it's because I hired people that were smarter than me. So it's kind of the same thing. We can talk to people that are smarter than us. I talk to people that are smarter than me all the time. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm dumb. It just means in that particular area, or that particular field, or whatever subject that we're talking about, they have more experience. They've been doing it longer, and they can provide me some great information. And sometimes, like you were talking about, Luis, it's what not to do.
Yeah.
And that's where the most money can be saved sometimes, and the most headaches can be saved. You can do it. However, keep this in mind. And then you make a decision that you may not have made if it had been on your own, not because you were dumb. You just didn't know any better. Like you said, you didn't know what you didn't know. And the next thing you know, you have issues. So I just can't underestimate how much the networking helps.
Yep. Just as an example of that, I went to, one of these classes at the convention. This was in San Diego, and I was at a point where I was trying to restructure my office. I knew that the way I had the administration set up was not efficient. And I had my hand in too many things. I had people who I was underusing, and then my main my office manager, she was getting ready to move on to another job because she found a job that was paying like $2 more an hour. And I was like, well, I can't pay that, so I'm trying to hire someone. I was right in the middle. I'm literally taking applications at the at the convention, right? And I was talking to, I think his Jim Dubois, is that his name?
Dubois, yep.
Yeah. So I went to one of his classes. I thought it was great, and I asked if I could ask him some questions afterwards. So he said, yeah, with his time. I mean, he just, he could have been doing other things, but he took the time to talk with me for about 15 minutes afterwards. And I'm telling him about my situation. I'm just like, I just don't know what to do. I hate to lose her. And he's like, well, why are you going to lose her for? I'm like, well, I really can't afford to pay her. He's like, can you afford to lose her? He's like, I mean, look at what she's able to do. It's like, if you need to hire an office assistant for a certain rate, that's fine. But find something for her to do. Can she do sales? Can she go to networking meetings in town for you and represent your company and put your name out there? Can she do invoicing? What are some things? I mean, she's such a great employee and she knows your business so well. Why lose her? Or maybe hire just for part-time instead of full-time, and she can do that other job or whatever. He's like, there's a solution here. He's like, finding good people is hard enough. Don't let this one just walk out the door.
Yep.
I had never, it just blew my mind. I just had assumed I could only have this amount of people in my office. And once I kept her, I called her up, I offered her, to match the pay that she was being offered at the other job. I mean, she has been such a pivotal role, played such a pivotal role in the growth of our business. And, she has brought customers in that, are reoccurring customers that has added value to the commercial routes that we have. She's just awesome with customers. She's great she's great for the culture of the company. Right now we're in this contest. It's the Reader's Choice Awards. And I don't even have to ask, she's every morning, first thing in our group chat, don't forget to vote today. And she'll do something really fun, put a little meme or whatever, or a little GIF. And it gets everyone all happy and everyone, I voted, but that type of energy in your visit, I mean, you can't quantify that, right? Mm-hmm. And I almost let that go. I almost let that go for $2 an hour. Could you imagine? But because I was there at the convention, because I spoke to a person who was generous with his time, it benefited my company so much. And I'm so thankful that happened. But those types of stories happen over and over again, just because of the networking availability that you have with the IWCA.
Yep.
Yeah. So Luis, I know you're really good at networking. So you came into the convention. So did you think that the networking was going to be what it was when you went to that first convention?
No, I was super intimidated. To be honest, I had heard a lot of negative things about the culture, specifically in window cleaning and pressure washing industries. A lot of ego, a lot of people on a high horse. So I was intimidated. In situations like that, I do my best to just be myself and be a student, just stay quiet and listen to people. And if I had an important question to ask, I'd ask it. And if not, I'd just shut up. But that wasn't the case at all. As soon as I showed up, who knows, 10 years ago, but when I showed up, I was shown nothing but respect. I felt like they pulled out the red carpet for me. Fernando himself, he said, you know what, I'm going to take you under my wing. You're going to hang out with me this time. Literally what he said. Went, had breakfast with him. He said, come on, take this class. This class is important. This one is optional. Take it at the next convention. And that's the kind of treatment I received. It went from being super intimidated. I don't really want to talk to anybody. I mean, I was giddy just meeting you, Gabe. I had talked to you already. And I remember it was like 10:30 at night. You had just flown in and Fernando goes, oh, you want to meet Gabe? I know him. Hey, Gabe, I'm over here. This up. And I'm like, oh my God, my heart's beating fast. I'm meeting. And, sorry for the smooch, but I was just really excited. No, it proved to be completely otherwise. And it's great because the people who had told me about, some experience that they've had at a convention, I've got to share my story. And I said, hey, like, this is great. They've seen my company grow. They've seen me grow as a person. And now they're all hyped up to go to the next convention. So it's been nothing short of amazing. I've had a great experience. I've made a lot of friends, and just I don't know. I really can't put into words the feeling that I get when I show up to a convention and I see a lot of familiar faces. It really makes me feel warm and fulfilled inside. Like I'm doing something important.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a similar experience because I had heard the same stories as well, and I wasn't around during, I guess, whenever this time was in IWC. I came in right when their shift had really changed towards outreach.
Mhm.
And so they were really wanting the new members to come, and they were inviting. And the first time I went to just the trade show. I didn't go to anything else. I just wanted to see products, which was really interesting. And then I went to more, but I didn't know anybody. I knew zero people. I'm walking around like, the new kid who's coming to the new school for the first time, and everyone seems to know each other, and I don't
Yep.
know anyone. And that's actually when I met Fernando. Fernando Medina was that we made contact there, and we were able to get to know each other a little bit at that one. We took I think it was a lift certification course,
Mhm.
and that was pretty cool. But the person that I met that really went out of his way was Michael Draper. I had taken his safety class, and I didn't know him. I'd never met him before. And afterwards, I asked him a few questions, and he was just so kind. And he could tell it was my first time there. He could tell I was nervous, and not even so much nervous as just I didn't know what to do. And so he's like, "Hey, no, I take it back. It was, yeah." He said, "No, next time that we come, he's like, you're going to sit with me." So you get someone like Michael Draper say that, you don't really hold him to it, right? So the next convention comes around, and we just happen to be talking. Now I'm a little more involved in the industry, and I'm talking to more people. And so I didn't say nothing because I'm like, oh, there's no way he's going to remember that. He's just being friendly. Sure enough, I get an email. Hey, Gabe, so we're sitting together at the banquet for IWCA convention coming up. And I was like, whoa, he remembered. So that was so cool. And I got to sit with him that time. And then he introduced me. He took me, and I got to meet a lot of the board members, and I got to meet some of the longtime IWCA members. And that was the first convention that I actually felt like I was a part of it, that I was an active member now. And then after that, I was like, well, then I should do my part, right? I got to help other people as well. And but that's the feeling that you get there. And you can't really feel that until you're actually amongst the other window cleaners who are members. And feel it. Yeah.
I think a lot of credit has to go to Paul. I haven't been around since before him. All I've heard is everything's been changing since he's been here and continues to change. So, I'd have to give a huge amount of respect and a shout out to Paul Collum for that. I mean, you meet him as a person. He's a family man, very in touch with his spirituality, just a great person all around too. And I mean, he has the answers for everything. Sometimes I don't know if he's making it up, but he has the answer.
Yeah, and he was very instrumental. Several years ago, and for quite a few years before that, there was a management company that basically helped run the IWCA. And the problem with that was it cost a lot of money, and we really didn't get a huge benefit from it. Especially for convention, it was an astronomical amount that they charged to run the convention. So Paul was very instrumental in getting rid of the management company and then basically self-managing it, which does require more work. So as board members, we have more work to do because there's no other people to do it. But it puts us in a better situation financially, and it gives us more control over what we can provide to our members. And the money that is saved can go to other things. We can put it into the convention. There's some cool stuff going on with that we continue to improve every year with the convention. Mm-hmm. So Paul was very instrumental in that, and still is, in helping to make that transition. So that was, like I say, he was one of the key people to do that.
Yeah. I think just this group right now of board members is a pretty awesome group. I think everyone really is willing to work because, like you said,
I'm going to agree with you on that one.
Except for one member just a pain in the rear. But we won't name that sleeveless person.
Oh yeah, well, it depends on who you talk to. I'm more than a pain for some, I think. That's all right.
But really, I mean, at the convention, you get to meet the board members, and you like Kevin mentioned, they're doing a way more work than what has been done years prior, and you can tell. I just when I was doing some of the interviews for the convention, I'm talking to some, and they're busy. I mean, they are running, they're looking, and what is this being done? Is this being done? And I mean, yeah, that's for us, right? They're doing that for us.
Yeah, sometimes
So,
you have to find time to eat.
yeah.
Literally.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I
Have to
seen
stop and go. I've got to eat, or this is not going to keep going very well. So,
yeah. But those are the types of people that you get to meet if you network and go and take advantage of that. So I hope that if you're a new member or you're a person who's thinking about joining the IWCA, you're hearing this podcast, pull the trigger, get to meet some of the people that are there wanting to help you, learn from the people who are where you want to be in the future. And that's going to help you to get there. So thanks so much for your time. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Luis, for joining me. And until next time, you guys have a great weekend. Thanks so much.
See ya.